Good morning, Marians. Today we are talking about identifying the difference of random sampling technique. Let's proceed. We are talking about the 8 types of sampling. First, sample random sampling. The second is stratified sampling. The third is cluster. The fourth is systematic sampling. And the fifth is a convenience. The sixth is volunteer sampling. And the seventh is snowball sampling. And the last is quota sampling. Let's proceed to discuss the first sampling, which is a simple random sampling.
Random techniques. A simple random techniques is the most basic random sampling wherein each element in the population has an equal probability for being selected. A simple random sampling. Ito yung, kunyari, teacher ako sa isang section, tapos magpaparecitation ako sa kanila. Tapos mamimili ako doon ng 5 estudyante na mapipili sa recitation. Dun sa ano na yon, ito yung lahat ng estudyante doon may chance na mapili kasi randomly ako kumuha sa 1/4 na yon.
Systematic random sampling. This can be done by listing all the elements in the population and selecting the elements in your population list. This equally precise as the simple random sampling. It is often used on long population lists to determine the interval to be used in identifying the sample to who will participate in the study. Use the formula K equals to N over N.
Is divided into cluster or groups, and then the cluster are randomly selected. All elements of the cluster randomly selected are considered the sample of study. Sa cluster sampling naman, dito ay by group. Ang gagawin depende kung ilan ang group. For example, meron tayong 6 cluster na population, and then ang gagawin lang is kukuha tayo ng 2 group para maging sample, 2 clusters.
Is a probability technique where the population is divided into distinct group that is based on characteristic called strata. This method ensuring each fair presentation of its group. Stratified sampling have 5 processes. 1. Define the population or identify the groups that need to study. 2. Determine the strata. Divide the population into their relevant groups. Example: age, income level, education level. 3. Decide sample size. You will determine how many individuals will be selected from each group. 4. Random sampling. Select individual randomly within each group to avoid bias. Purpose is ensuring the representation guarantees that all important groups are included. Example: Monimar Development Academy wants to conduct a survey on student satisfaction instead of randomly. It will have 3 strata conducting on grade 11 home economics students 1, 2, and 3. To randomly select students from each group in proportion to these total numbers. This ensures that feedback from all sections is considered rather than having the survey dominated by one group. This method is wisely used for ensuring fair and accurate data. Convenience sampling. Convenience sampling is a non-probability sampling, selecting respondent in which the member of the population do not have equal chance of being selected as samples. Convenience sampling involves selecting samples based on convenience, based on availability of members and their proximity to the researchers. Convenience sampling data come from people that are easiest to reach and contact. They have 5 convenience sampling: accidental sampling, incidental sampling, grab sampling, opportunity sampling. Why do you use convenience sampling? This is the advantages. Easy to get sample, participants are readily available, and then it's expensive or affordable compared to other sampling method. These sampling methods saves time when gathering data from on-hand population. It involves speed and convenience. The research process is easier. Data gathering can be done in less than a day and worry-free, since accurate representation is not necessary. It does not provide a representative result. It cannot offer any information about the entire group of peoples. It is challenging to replicate the result of convenience sample. Researchers' bias may enter into sampling technique. Differences that may exist between the multiple subgroups can be picked out, leading to false estimations and generalizations.
Isang pag-uusapan naman natin ngayon ay ang quota sampling. First, what is quota sampling? Quota sampling is a sample units are picked from convenience, but certain quotas are given to interviews. This design is especially used in market research. Researchers choose these individuals according to specific traits or qualities. So, example, namili ako, nakapokus ako sa isang studies na ang kukunin ko lang is male na above 30. So, kukuha ko from the population ng male na above 30 ang age. Ayun ang kukunin kong sample. So, I will discuss the differences and similarities of quotas. So, the differences of a quotas is quota sampling is different from probability, where every number of the population has an equal chance of being selected in quota sampling. Participants are selected based on specific criteria. We have two similarities of quota. First is representation and the second is efficiency. So the representations, like probability sampling methods, quota samplings aims to ensure representation from different subgroups within the populations. And the efficiency, quota sampling can be more efficient than probability sampling method, as it allows researchers to target specific subgroups and reduce data collection costs. So, ayun daw po ang meaning ng quota sampling. That's all. Thank you. So guys, ang pag-uusapan naman natin ngayon ay ang snowball sampling. First, what is snowball sampling? Snowball sampling is or chain referral sampling is defined as a non-probability sampling technique in which that samples have traits that are rare to find. So, yung sinasabi is may isang researcher na nag-aano ng studies niya. So, kumuha siya ng 2 sample. And hindi siya satisfied sa 2 sample na yon. Hindi siya satisfied hanggang di niya nakuha yung results. So, nag-recruit ulit siya ng bagong sample. And then yung nakuha niya ulit na bagong sample is hindi ulit siya satisfied doon. So, magre-recruit lang siya na magre-recruit hanggang sa makuha niya yung gusto niyang results. So, ayun. And this is a sampling technique in which existing subjects provide referrals to recruit samples required for our research study. So, Ayun po yung ayun yung meaning ng snowball sampling. Magre-recruit hanggang hindi niya pa po nakakukuha yung gusto niyang results. Kahit gaano pa po kadami yun. That's all po. Today, we are talking about the volunteer sampling. First, what is volunteer sampling? Volunteer sampling is a sample units are volunteers in studies wherein the measuring process is painful or troublesome of our respondents. So, it means lang po nan is the volunteer sampling is ito yung kusa from the word itself, volunteer. Kusa or willing silang maging respondents mo. Wala pong sapilitan na nagaganap. So, from the word itself, volunteer. Nag-volunteer po sila na maging isang respondents mo. That's all.
All the sampling techniques and their key points. Number 1. Simple random sampling. Ensure unbiased representation but may not be practical for a large population. Number 2. Systematic sampling. Easier to implement than simple random sampling but can introduce bias if patterns exist in the population. Number 3. Stratified sampling. Ensure representation of all groups but requires prior knowledge of strata. Number 4. Cluster sampling. More practical but may introduce bias if clusters are not truly representative. Number 5. Convenience sampling. Quick and co-effective but prone to bias and not representative. Number 6. Quota sampling. Ensure diversity but may introduce selection bias. Number 7. Purposive sampling. Useful for expert opinions and or niche studies but may lack general disability. Number 8. Snowball sampling. Effective for social research but can be biased towards certain social circles. If you would ask me, in those 8, I would pick stratified sampling because, like what it said at the key points, it ensures representation of all groups. It's not just, you cannot be biased with representative. With stratified sampling, it includes the whole group. That's all, and I encourage you to explore math and learn about this sampling because it is important and you can apply it to the real time or real world, and also it will, by knowing all those 7 sampling techniques, it will greatly help you in your research. That's all. Thank you.
I'll be talking about stratified sampling. So what is stratified sampling? Stratified sampling is a probability sampling method where a population is divided into homogeneous subgroups based on shared characteristics, and a random sampling is taken from each stratum to ensure proportional representation. In stratified sampling, we first divide the population into different groups or strata. For example, if we're studying student performance in a school, we can group students by grade level. Then, we randomly select an equal number of students from each grade to ensure fair representation.